Three, two, one. Welcome back to Lionscapes, everybody.
Hey, how are you?
Today we are in for a course of painting with watercolors, and let's look at what we're going to create together today.
So we're gonna create a landscape with a tower. This is like, what kind of tower I'm talking about, right? You find them on the coast.
Lighthouse.
Yeah, that's the one. And yeah, we're gonna just look at how we can create a watercolor painting with an architectural element as well, and make a distinction between grasses, look at the composition, and also play around with a few of watercolor techniques.
So, we're glad that you're with us. If you're here live, gladly write us in the chat. And for everyone watching this on replay, you're welcome to drop us a comment, and be sure also to like and share this video. And we're gonna doing a series of live streams recently because we have a special reason to celebrate.
Right. We are reopening Creative Compass membership program.
So what is a Creative Compass membership program? It's a membership and community for creatives who like to sketch. And if you like our videos and if you like our content, then you'll definitely be interested in that. And we have a special offer until the holidays. So stick around, and in the end we'll tell you more about it.
Yeah. So I suggest you prepare all your materials for today's session, and then we would like to start right away.
Yes. Okay. We need a couple of yeses from live audience, so we know everybody's ready who wants to paint along, and then let's dive into it. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with Sonia today.
Okay, so as I said, you will be needing the typical supplies. I also put them all in the comments. You're gonna need brushes in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. I also prepared my watercolor set by Salinier. I have here as well some ink pens. So these are like the fine ones, and I have different kind of thicknesses, a pencil, a glass of water, and of course some paper towels. So since this is like a really nice close-up, you won't be seeing my materials, but I hope that you can follow along, and I suggest that we start as well. So if you're ready, as Kasper said, you can definitely engage with us and just write in the comments, yes, we're ready, hey, slow down, whatever, communicate with us, ask us questions, and we're gonna make sure we're gonna answer everything as well. So I would suggest that we start, and I'm gonna also, I prepared 2 papers in case that...
in case of an emergency.
In case of an emergency, which won't happen, but still. Okay, so today I will just use this watercolor paper. I won't stick it on any kind of surface and stuff like that, so it's gonna bend a bit, and that's also one of the reasons why I won't paint till the edge. I won't engage with the edge. I'm gonna leave it like very free-formed, but before I start painting, I will definitely create an outline. So in the first 2 minutes, I suggest that you take your time and first create like a small frame for your painting. So what we're gonna do today is like a watercolor sketch, basically, where we're gonna, this time, so 2 weeks ago, we first did the outline with ink pen, and then we went back and we went in with watercolors. This time we're gonna do the opposite. First we're gonna do like a basic outline with pencil, and then go in with ink. Okay, so what I did here first is a bit of a grid, so just that you understand, I would like to position this light tower in in the one of the thirds. So on this part here, I would like to position my lighthouse. And since this is a sketch, it's not a realistic depiction of of this architecture object.
So not necessarily very detailed.
Right, you just want to create like a basic structure outline. Sketch is basically there to support you in your idea and your ideas. And so what you want to focus on is usually you are the one who's defining what should be depicted in the sketch, right? So what I am doing, I am creating this basic shape, and what I'm doing is, first of all, I'm creating just basic geometrical shapes and then just building a shape.
So like rectangle, square,
Right.
triangle.
Right. And I try to use a lighter hand when doing that, so don't press too hard.
Because the pencil lines will be visible later if they're too strong?
Of course, yeah. That's definitely one thing that you want to avoid. It's like still, it's a watercolor painting. It's not something that you want to be very visible at the end. So the lines that you use like just for the frame and the structure. And then I am trying to depict the landscape surrounding it. And here you can see in this area we have a path. So I'm gonna do just like a very curvy line here, and then basically build like hips. You can see here different forms. These are the fields of grass. And then we have another heap of grass here. This you can also, if you see, sometimes we go try to, if you're that kind of person that sticks to the rules and to realistic perception, you can try to overreact a bit. You can somehow create forms that are even more pronounced.
Idealistic? So in a way abstracting them?
Yeah, definitely abstracting them, but at the same time also make them maybe a bit bigger than they are in real life, because we want to see them, right? So here is the fence that I'm gonna add later on. These are the grass fields basically, and this is my tower. That's it. And I think that's my base, and I can easily start working with this.
So I'm interested, for everyone watching live, if you're painting along, yeah, then let us know. It's fun to see if you're just here to watch the process and have fun and listen to us, or if you're also painting along, and maybe if you're gonna do, or you're maybe gonna do this later, this tutorial. Once it's over, you'll take your time, grab some tea or coffee and your stationery, and then enjoy it in a quiet moment.
Okay, so while Gaspar was talking, I started to activate my pigments. That's the first thing that you need to do before you start using watercolors, because the binder needs to dissolve, and this is how you will also get these bright pigments.
That's a nice pro tip. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a basic tip, but for people who, for those who are just starting out with watercolors, very often overlooked step, and then you somehow also get really different in intensity of colors. And what we want is that the pigments are very nice and creamy and easily dissolve with water. Okay, so we're gonna, as I said, we're gonna start with watercolors and try to color in the surfaces, and then later on we're gonna work on it also with some ink pens. That's why I suggest that we start right away. And first of all, we're gonna mix a blue color. And for this, I will just go in with this. I think this is like a nice color. So what helps me very often is also if you create something like this, a nice swatch sheet of your watercolors. And this is how you can very easily create and mix nice colors, especially if you're working with photos, right? You can very easily make a distinction and find nice color tones. And then you can also test them out, maybe like this or on additional paper. That's always useful.
So you're also gonna create a color palette matching this coastal landscape.
Definitely, yeah.
So I'm interested if for everyone also who's watching, or if you're watching this on replay, drop us a comment. Where are you from? Because it definitely influences you. The landscape you grow up with or in influences how you also draw landscapes. Because you always have this idea of what a landscape is, and maybe some of you don't even know an image like this, or I definitely didn't grow up with an image of a landscape like this. So this is an interesting fact that we found out while teaching how to sketch and draw landscapes.
Yeah, right. So what I did when right now was I wet the paper, so you can see it started to bend a bit. That's because of the water, right? And now
that's okay if it bends?
It's okay. It's normal. It's normal, and it's gonna bend more if the paper is thinner, right? So if you're experiencing any different and very strange occurrences on your paper, that's probably the paper. So yeah, that's important. And now you can also observe how the clouds are shaped. So we want to just go in with brush on the places that are dark, right? So don't color in the whole surface. We want you to focus on just on the dark or the blue places of the sky. This. And the wet on wet technique, which is like applying first a basic wet layer, just some water, will take care of this nice, you see this bleeding effect, this softness that's being created. And we like that. We want that to happen because this will give us a sense and the feeling that these are clouds, and this will also differentiate the sky from the grass and the part below. So if you notice that there's no difference between the higher part or the upper part of the sky and the lower part of the sky, you can still go in with color, for example, like this, and maybe mix a bit stronger pigment, and then maybe just add a bit. And it's gonna slowly merge with the colors that you already applied. Okay, like this. And now when we created the sky, so I won't go too high or too low with the sky. I'm doing this intentionally so that I will have time to still add some lines. So now I'm gonna transition to lower part, and I'm gonna start filling in the surface for the grass. And we're gonna do the lighthouse at the end. So in this step, we will create first of all we will prepare some pigment, and I will use this tone. This will be my base tone. Basically what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this color, dilute it quite a lot, and then apply it all over this part. And then when I have a basic layer, like this flat wash of color, I'm gonna start deepening the color to create more feeling of depth, to emphasize the grass and stuff like that.
Why do you take a basic color and apply it everywhere?
Because I don't want it to look flat. It's like it gives an atmosphere.
So it like binds all the colors together a bit?
Yeah. Yeah. exactly that.
It's a good trick.
Okay, so that's it. And then I will take again the big brush. Don't forget to rinse the brush regularly so that the colors don't mix. And also, if your mixing palette is clean, you will also mix much more beautiful colors. So that's also something that you can consider.
We got a very nice compliment, Sonia, from Tina. Lovely skies. I like how you create depth just by stroke and shape or direction or the curve of your brush. So, yeah, the
Thank
sky
you.
really does look good.
Thank you. Okay, so as you see, I'm going over the edge that I created before with my pencil, and that's okay because we are creating a certain dynamic in this painting. And as you see, I also have like this basic color, and so as long as the color is the surface is wet, we can very nicely add different kinds of pigments. So after applying this basic color, we're gonna look at what kind of colors we also see beside that. So if we are completely honest, there's like this ochre color, there's brown. I also see a bit of red and also a bit of green. So the green is not so present, but still there, especially here on the edges. And then we have like a lot of dark brown in areas like this, and these are like small dots. And yeah, and then we can maybe mix ochre color and brown color to create like additional tone, and maybe add a few dots of this orangey shade, and that orange will also bind the whole landscape with this lighthouse together.
A nice comment. Labrador Life says this is awesome, and I do think it's really starting to look great. It's great to see you paint in this process. It's always fun. I could just watch.
Thank you.
Yeah. So is anyone watching live painting along? I'd be interested to hear because we know Sonia is very fast. But don't worry, this video will stay online later, so you can always replay it, pause it, and then go through at your own pace.
Yeah, that's true. But as we said, we want you also to be able to follow along. But it's if you're noticing that you're maybe struggling just a bit, take it as a challenge. You can always rewatch this video, and you can always say to yourself, okay, this is the stage I'm in right now. This is my knowledge level, and I'm working on it. So don't be upset, right?
This mindset is very important for creatives, like to be not too perfectionistic, but kind of accept the level you are at, because this will free your creativity, while perfectionism and struggling with these questions, am I good enough or not, will actually prevent you from progressing in a creative way. And this is also an important topic in our membership, Creative Compass membership program. Not just that we teach how to paint and sketch and draw, but also help you develop this kind of creative mindset.
Yeah, that's very important. Especially watercolors can teach you so much, right? Um, we recorded many videos or many courses for Creative Compass membership, and there are also a few on just basics of watercolors, because it's one thing to learn how to use watercolors, and then you have all these techniques, and many people, right, get also somehow upset in their painting process because they tend to paint with a certain expectation. Not everyone is for every technique, probably. You take what you prefer, and that's fine.
And watercolors do force you to let go of it, right, of your perfectionism.
Right. And if you are struggling with that, then you should definitely give watercolors a try. It really helps you overcome this feeling that everything needs to be perfect you're gonna start creating more loosely, right? You're gonna be a certain kind of loose painter, uh, and that's okay.
That's good.
Nice.
That's actually great. Yeah, let us know in the comments if you struggle with perfectionism as well as a creative. We definitely do and are still learning to kind of overcome it.
I'm not struggling with perfectionism.
You're not? I'm definitely a recovering perfectionist, I would say.
Does that mean that I'm like, that I'm in denial?
You could still be in denial.
Is that like the first stage? Accept it.
Yeah.
Confess.
Confess.
Yeah, okay. So now I just added a lot of different points and different colors. And if you see, I'm really trying to avoid this part here because this part is a bit lighter here. And what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna maybe start adding a bit stronger pigment because right now this is like very diluted pigment. You can really observe it and see it. And now we're gonna just take a few of a bit stronger pigments, mix them together, and just see what happens. You see, if I just add a few dots that are, so that's also one thing, right? Water regulation, pigment intensity. The more you're gonna paint, the more you paint, the better feeling you develop for the use of watercolors, the pigments. Of course, a big role play also the quality of watercolors, right? So and also the paper. So there are many things that you need to consider. But if you would like to start somewhere, then I suggest that you start maybe with very good watercolor paper, and then add some good watercolors, and then slowly progress.
So yeah, we got some people painting along, but mostly people will watch this later. Tina is just defrosting from her bike trip. Yeah, and also Nuha will paint along later. So for everybody watching this, do give the video a like. This will help get the video out to more people, and yeah, we'd appreciate it because we're always happy if we see that you like the video.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is also for us definitely very important. It's not just a recognition, but also, you know, a tell if that's something that you would like to see more of. So, okay, so I added a few darker dots. I think I need to leave this dry now, and I'm gonna start filling in the details in the tower. So if you notice that the colors mix too much and everything is just like a chaos, you can still take just your brush and clean it with some fresh water, right? Really dry it out. And if you're using the right paper, you will notice that you can take your brush and just start removing a bit of this paint. Look at this. You can see how everything's getting a bit lighter.
That's a great trick.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the watercolor painting is always messy. It's much more messy than dry dry colors, right? Like some techniques like color pencils or graffiti. Oh, graffiti can graphite.
Graphite.
I think, is it graphite? I don't know.
I think it's graphite. Graffiti is the thing you spray on walls.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if graphite is the right word.
Native speakers, please do give us feedback on this grammar question.
Okay, so now I'm gonna start doing the outline with my ink pen. So not every ink pen is great, especially when we're working with water. We want to avoid splatters, right? We don't want we want to avoid this kind of bleeding. So that's why we love to use Pilot pure ink, liquid ink pens. You can also use your ink pen, whatever kind of one you're using. But this one works really well for us. And yeah, if you see that the surfaces beside it are still very wet, maybe it's better to avoid them, but I can still show you how it looks like so that you know what you're avoiding. Okay, so let's do the outline.
So yeah, meanwhile, Tina also says she's a perfect undercover perfectionist, and she thinks you are as well, but because of the lot of knowledge you have. And we've gotten some love from Dubai also, and yes, we learned it is called graphite. I also did a funny spelling mistake when I wished Tina some worm tea instead of warm tea. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying your wormy tea.
Super. Yeah, this is like, you know, if you are not native, then you do some beautiful, beautiful accidents, language accidents.
Yeah, just like Bob Ross said, we don't make mistake, we make happy little accidents in language as well.
Okay, so that's it. And now I'm gonna go upward and I will add this part here. Okay, so first I'm gonna do this and zack, zack.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, so do ask us any questions if you have them in the comments below, and in the end of the video we'll also answer them. And meanwhile, yeah, like like we said at the beginning, we'll also give you some information on the amazing offer. It's a really amazing offer we have for Creative Compass. Really believe we put together a great program for everyone who likes our stuff anyway. If you're, enjoy our videos, if you always wanted to improve your sketching, painting, drawing skills, then this is a pretty good idea, because you have a lot of online courses around, but here we really give you feedback on the work you send us in. So it's not just access to the online courses with our membership program, but it's also direct feedback. So in the end, we'll tell you a bit how it works, and yeah, meanwhile we'll go back to what Sonia is creating here.
Okay, so I just created the outline. Now I'm just gonna emphasize a few of those brick stones with a bit of texture like that. But I think I'm gonna also just start using this hatch line to define a few more of the shapes, and I'm not gonna be precise, you see, because watercolor technique is not precise. That's why I also, with my line, with the fine liner that I'm using, I don't need to be precise. I can be very loose as well. I can afford mistakes, my line can be wobbly, I can leave out some details, so everything is allowed basically.
Yeah, Nuha in the comments says also that perfectionism is the greatest barrier with creating art, and yeah, watercolors would definitely help you overcome some of that perfectionism.
Right, definitely. Okay, so I'm just using a crosshatch for this part, and I'm gonna add here also a bit of texture like this. Okay, and now you can always test like the surface if it's still wet. I think it's still a bit wet, but let's give it a try. You can see that the color spread here a bit funny, but let's try anyway.
So, is it important that you're using a waterproof, non-bleeding pen?
Usually, so you're gonna see what happens. So the line is bleeding much more. This is the dry line, and this is the line on surface that's not dried yet. It really depends on you, if you like that or not. Usually that's unwanted thing because you want your lines to be crisp. So it really depends. You saw that I tested out the surface, so it's not completely wet anymore, so I can sketch over it. But I don't know, sometimes that can also harm or damage your pens. I notice sometimes that if there's a lot of water on the surface, that the pens don't work as well, right? Did you ever notice that?
I did, and I think, yeah, I did notice. So I do also tend to wait for it to dry, especially if the pen I'm using is not waterproof. So Sonia is using a waterproof pen, and still it bleeds a little. Um, there are a lot of great pens out there, but they are not waterproof. So you have to be careful when sketching and combining them with watercolors, because if you do watercolors first and then sketch over, it will bleed if you don't wait that it dries. And vice versa, which is even worse, you do a nice line work and you want to color it in with watercolors or something, and then it just bleeds out and becomes a mess. So make sure when sketching with watercolors and combining it with a pen, use a waterproof one.
Right, especially for example, I love to use this one because when this pen dries, it allows me also the possibility to go in once again with watercolors, right? So that's why ink pens are usually very, very useful and very good. Um, so we want tools that support us, right? Not give us more obstacles to overcome. So
this is a good point. We want tools that support us.
Yeah. So I intentionally left a few of the elements out. You see that here on the sky, I could definitely be very precise. Or here I could also add a lot more of color. Instead of that, I will just focus on texture and do some dots. And here as well for the sand part. And definitely this sketch is dry enough so that I can go in with my fine liner and start forming the heel and adding some texture. You can, of course, if you say, no, I am completely against any kinds of ink and pen, I want to do everything completely in watercolor.
If you're a watercolor purist.
Yes, you can. Then you should take like a very precise fine pen, something like this.
Fine brush, yeah.
Fine brush, something like this, and then go at it. I mean, enjoy. So, we come from landscape architecture field, and sketch was always something that was useful for us, that gave us a lot of information. We were thinking with sketching. We used sketching for analyzing, for developing concepts, and that's why we wanted our sketches to be aesthetically pleasing, and we use them as a tool, right? So if here's any other landscape architects, then you know how it is. Also architects and designers, you have the representational sketch, and then you also have the sketch that serves you as a tool. And this is what we're focusing on here today, right? It's a combination of both, and I think that's amazing, like how you can still use something like that.
So we have a couple of questions, Sonia, and I will ask them in the end, so you also can answer questions about watercolor technique. I think they're quite interesting, so I'm also curious what you're going to say regarding how to paint clouds, for example.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so as you see, what's missing here is maybe coloring in the tower. I suggest that we do that, and if the paint is dried, when the paper is dry, you can definitely take the smaller brush and add some elements that are add some emphasize points, like just go in and do a few of dots to create those contrasts.
I love how you usually call them beauty spots. And they apply to a lot of kinds of painting. Like you kind of give the eye a way to move around the image. So those beauty spots are very useful. There will always be some more darker blotches in the view you're painting, or on a portrait you're drawing, or on a tree you're sketching. So yeah, these beauty spots are important.
Yeah, and take your time, right? So I am rushing a bit because I know we have all so many things to do, and your time is very valuable as well. So um, I want to guide you through this process, give you some tips if you find this useful. Right now, I'm gonna color in the tower. I'm gonna use similar or the same color that I use for this orangey spots, and this will connect everything together. So let's give it a try. Again, I am using a ink pen which prevents which does not bleed, so I can paint over it, right?
Oh, that's practical, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so Ernest said that this is kind of a mixture of urban sketching and watercolor painting. Yeah, I would say it is. This is also a very distinctly Sonia technique to mix sketching and watercolor painting together. I think it produces great results.
Yeah, and this was also my goal last year. I said that I would like to learn how to watercolor um, in a way that will be useful for me, and I came out with somehow, I learned the techniques that are useful for me, so I can use them, share with others, and that also are not too complicated to use, right? If you want to learn watercolors, then you need to find your way somehow first. And I wanted it to be serving for me, right? It needs to serve my purposes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really coming together now that you painted the lighthouse as well.
Yeah, maybe you can also try to add maybe a bit of water, right? And the water will just dilute the pigments, and that's how we will create a bit more texture. You can also just add a color droplet of yellow or something. Do something crazy. I mean, it's not necessary that you're very precise.
And once you do this at your own pace or whatever, would really be thrilled to see it. So how do you actually, show it to us? There's a way, great way, is to join our Facebook group Lionscapers. I just posted the link in the chat, and it's also in the video description. And you can post it there and get some feedback and opinions and everything from your fellow Lionscapers. Or you can also just tag us on lionscapes.drawing on Instagram. Then we'll also see what you have created.
Okay, so at the end, you can always do some fine touches like this.
This is a good one.
You can take your finger and then add a few of the splatters, a few of droplets to, if you have a feeling like, oh, somehow there's nothing connecting, and somehow, sometimes texture and just small imperfections bind things together. So try it out for yourself. Don't be afraid. It's just paper. Paper can hold it for you. So if you are afraid, trust the paper.
Trust the paper. And we got some love from a new subscriber, Snono, said what a lovely sketch. And yeah, we really, really appreciate it. So we'll go into the questions now in a sec. And we also wanted to tell you, before we go into it, about our membership program, Creative Compass, which is a community and membership for creatives like you who like to sketch.
Right. So we came up with this amazing program. It has more than 20 courses on creativity, mindset, and especially on sketching.
Mm.
If you are a person who likes to sketch and would love to be very comfortable while doing so, that's the perfect program for you.
Yeah, so how does it work? Basically, you enroll in the program. You can do it on monthly basis, you can do it on a yearly basis, whatever you want, and then you get access to all this stuff. But not only that, once a month you can send us your work and we give you feedback in a live Zoom call. Why is this important? Because we know this is how you learn the fastest. If you just keep watching online video tutorials, you don't get any feedback direct. But we want to build this into our program, so we did it because we think it's a good way to learn. So yeah, this is how it works.
Yeah. And beside that, of course, you also get like this amazing bundle of cardscapes.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Do you know that?
I don't know. So until holidays, we have this is why we're talking about this now. We have a special offer until Christmas, special holiday offer, which is pretty amazing. So if you enroll, first of all, we send you these, our postcard drawing tips on postcards.
With personal note from us.
Yeah. So this is number one. Then also, you're getting a 20% off if you subscribe for a month or if you subscribe for a year. No matter the time, for the next year you get 20% off.
Mm-hmm.
And also for the yearly subscribers, what do they get?
They also get one coaching session with me.
Yeah, so this is pretty cool. You get really a Zoom call with Sonia and can talk about your creativity struggles, and we can see how we can help you the most.
Yeah, let's create a plan. Let's work together.
Yeah. Okay, so we're glad to have you. You can definitely check the link below, or Google Lionscape's Creative Compass. I also drop it in the chat. Like we said, until holidays you have this offer. And now we'll jump into the questions about the watercolor sketch.
Let's do that.
Okay, so we got an interesting one.
Do I need to show the top down again?
Yeah, let's look at it. So first of all, Sonia, why did you not use a masking tape?
It's a very practical reason, because it's a fast tutorial for you guys, and I decided on not doing so because that's one extra step that takes you additional minutes to execute. That's why I decided that I'm gonna leave the edge free, so I didn't engage the edge. And also I am using paper surface to protect my table, so it's more of a practical reason, but you can definitely do so if you want.
Okay, so another question that we have is, why do you think about just doing the clouds spontaneously? Just using multiple colors.
Definitely you can do that as well. The thing is, just if you noticed, when I was using my color palette, I constantly mix the same colors, right? So even if I'm mixing brown color, I always add maybe a bit of the same blue to it and stuff like that. So if you want to create a nice sky, you need to think about the colors that you're using. They need to have the same warmth, right? We have warm colors and cold colors, right? You can see like some colors are more cold and some a bit warmer, and it's very important that we mix just one type of colors together. We have warm yellow, right? And warm red. This one is also here the brightest one, um, and those colors are very important when mixing, when preparing your color palette or color harmony for the sky. And since the sky here was not the most important element, right? In sketch, you always need to ask yourself, why am I painting this? What's the intention behind it? And in this case, the sky is important because it feels like a lot of the surface, half of it, right? Half of my painting. But it's not more important as this part below. This gives me context. This gives me atmosphere, right? And binds everything together. And you need to first decide what's more important. That's why I didn't engage with the sky too much. But yes, I could as well. If I said this was an amazing sunset, it's so important to me, then I would definitely focus on the sky, add a few colors that fit well together, that would be created in the same color harmony, warm or cold. And yeah, I hope that answers your question.
So we have a final question that we drop in about the sky. Why did you leave the sky around the lighthouse white? Was there a specific reason?
Yes, it was. So again, practical reason. One is that this allowed me to paint faster, especially the outline, today I prepared for you this session, and the ones who are painting with me, you saw that I painted very fast and everything had enough time to dry. So I intentionally left a bit of the space around the tower so that I had time to execute the outline with this pen, because all the surface was wet, but I still had like a very smooth process through the whole sketch. So I planned this before I started painting, right? I was considering the steps that I'm gonna take so that I can really paint 20 minutes long without doing any breaks.
Okay. So, thanks for the answers, Sonia. Once again, we also heard it from a great member we have from our program, Creative Compass. Tina recommended it in the chat as well. She said, as a happy member of Creative Compass, I cannot recommend this program enough. My drawing skills improved so much over the last year. And we can definitely say so. So it's really great to have had you, Tina, and we're glad that you're continuing this year with us. And for everyone, until December 24th, you can join with this amazing offer we have. If you're thinking about doing any online course or whatever drawing, sketching course in the next year anyway, then this is a pretty good opportunity.
Yeah.
And we did really our best to make the best possible program for you.
So if you were thinking about gifts, or maybe just treating yourself, maybe investing in your own skill, and be better at what you do, definitely check it out. There's just 1 week left to get this offer, this special holiday offer, this special price, and all the goodies that come with it. So go and check it out. We would love to have you and do some amazing sketches with you.
And thanks a lot for dropping by today to paint this with us. We hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And you know what to do.
Keep on drawing.
And stay creative.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.